How are you?
You have the same clothes on. Exactly. Because you look sharp. Yeah, they do. All I did was wash them. And I saw that they only had to take it out.
Right. It's now 6 p.m. Chair will call this November 16th, 2021 Fairfield County School Board meeting to order. Public duly notified, and I do confirm. First business, today we give it to our superintendent, Dr. Green.
All right. Chairman, members of the board, today is our opportunity to elect officers for the upcoming year. I will be accepting nominations for board chair, and then I will turn the receiving role to board chair once that is complete. And so now the floor is open for nominations for board chair.
Dr. Green,
Yes, ma'am.
I nominate Henry Miller.
Mr. Henry Miller has been nominated for board chair. Any additional nominations? Move nominations come to a close. Okay, Council Jackson has moved nominations come to a close.
Second such motion.
All right, that has been seconded. All right, all in favor of Mr. Henry Miller for board chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Miller.
And we will move to vice chair. Yes, ma'am.
I nominate Harrison.
Cynthia Harris has been nominated to vice chair. School board. Any more? Someone make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that the nomination come to a close on the one said name, provided I get a second.
I said,
It's been seconded. I'm gonna just look for your hands this time. All in favor, so by the raising of the right hand. Thank you, Mississippi Harris. We will move to secretary.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I make a motion, that we make a nomination for Trustees.
Stevens, any more nominations? Move nominations come to a close. Then second, motion by Pastor Jackson and second by Mr. Davis. All in favor, show by raising the right hand. It is unanimous. You got to vote for yourself. 7-0. It's time. The board will. The board will. And for a motion to go into the executive session.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we in executive session for personnel matters.
Can we get a second?
I said,
Motion made by Ms. Harris, second by Mr. Davis. All in favor, so by raising the right hand. We will go into executive session for personnel matters. We will be back. We don't have time. And probably no longer than 10 minutes. Unless something occurs, we should be back out. Thank you.
Boys and girls who get tickets, y'all come see me real quick. You get in the ticket, come see me.
They just want to stay.
You already know it. Time, we will entertain a motion to exit executive session. No action is taken in executive session.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we exit executive station.
Motion made by Ms. Harris, second by Pastor Jackson. Executive session. All in favor, show by raising the right hand. That will be verse 7. At this time, I'd like to just welcome everyone to November 16th board meeting. We do appreciate you. Now, seeing all our fine students and their parents who support them, we thank you every day. On one village, trying to raise our children. Also, I want to just, in my welcome, I wanted to wish our superintendent happy birthday. You know, 39 for a while. Moving off that 39. Check on that. At this time, we will have a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence from our secretary. Have a moment of silence. Thank you. Agenda. Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Motion made by Ms. Harris, second by Pastor Jackson. To approval of our agenda. All in favor, show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 7. Public comment, do we have public comment? Any public comment?
No.
At this time, we will turn it over to our distinguished and 21, was that 2021 superintendent of the year in the state of South Carolina. We'll give you all kind of accolades.
Yeah, thank you. My birthday here. Folks, this is probably one of my favorite times of the year. When we can recognize students from all the outstanding work that they have done. And this is particularly remarkable in the midst of a global pandemic. So we are recognizing young people who excel at the highest level over recent summative assessments administered by the state of South Carolina. The Maggie School has a packed house in here today of students who have done an absolute remarkable job. And so Dr. Avery is going to assist me in recognizing these young folks. Dr. Whitfield is going to assist us as well. And we ask that when you come up that you take at least an opportunity to take a picture. It's my birthday, so take a picture with me. Yeah, I love taking pictures with you. Show them. And you can take a picture to memorialize this outstanding job. Dr. Avery.
Can I say this? Now, just at that moment, come up, we know you have your mask on. So nobody is not gonna know you with your mask on. So when you come up, and just take it off, take it, you can put it back on. Okay?
As Dr. Green mentioned earlier, we are truly excited to recognize scholars from Fairfield Magnet School for Math and Science on their stellar performance on the state level assessments that were administered on last spring. If Dr. Whitfield, along with Dr. Green, could come to the front. Our first student this evening is Brielle Cook, who earned exceeds in ELA and math. Ahmed El Bayomi earned exceeds in ELA and math. Gavin Hunt earned exceeds in ELA and math. John History earned exceeds in ELA and math.
You got it?
No.
All right. Yeah, all right. All right, so good job.
Layla McMillan earned exceeds in ELA and math. Mills earned exceeds in ELA and math. Anna Young earned exceeds in ELA and math. Salvador Basambi earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science. Jerome Burns earned exceeds in ELA, pardon me, and science. Naya Romati earned exceeds in ELA and math. Kyle Zedrick Kurama earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science. Nathan Gibson earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science. Earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science.
Good job.
Arya Patel earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science.
Excellent.
Anya Scott earned exceeds in ELA and math. Joaquin Morgan earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science.
Excellent.
Sanjua Kumar. And darling, say your name for me. She earned exceeds in ELA and math.
Great job. Great job.
Chloe Young earned exceeds in ELA and math.
Good job.
Leah Childers earned exceeds in ELA and science. Christian Davis earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science.
Good job.
Shamori Davis earned exceeds in ELA and math. Tyler Harper earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science.
All right, Mama got it.
Look good, look good. All right.
Jessica Jackson earned exceeds in ELA and science. Joey Jamison earned exceeds in ELA and science.
Yeah, turn this way. Turn this way. All right.
Johnson earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science. Jasmine McMillan also earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science. Darian Metz earned exceeds in ELA, math, and science.
Good job.
And lastly, but certainly not least, Serenity Samuel earned exceeds in ELA and science. Thank you all, and you all may quietly exit. Thank you so very much.
Good job. Thank you, appreciate it.
It's time. We get the motion to approve the October 19th minutes and regular board meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the minutes from October 19th, regular power board meeting.
Second to the motion.
Motion made, Ms. Harris, second by Dr. Harris, to minutes from October 19th, 2021. All in favor, show by raise of hand. 7-0. At this time, we will hear our superintendent report.
Thank you, Chairman Miller. Some items I'd like to go over today. First of all, let me acknowledge and recognize Ms. Chisholm and the Fairfield Post student journalist. who have been doing an absolutely remarkable job.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading the paper every week. I'm normally sliding under my door maybe Thursday or so, and I'm anxiously awaiting just to see the outstanding job that these young people have been doing. In addition to the amount of support we've got from the community, people who have submitted lots of contributing articles as well. So this is something that has been embraced by the whole Fairfield community. And I think it is an outstanding opportunity for us to highlight not only the great things that are going on in our system, but throughout our entire community. So we continue to encourage individuals who have great things to share, to notify Ms. Chisholm and her staff, whether that is a past anniversary or someone just turned 90 years old or something important happening in the community. We want to cover that. We want to highlight it. So Ms. Chisholm and your student journalists, once again, kudos for doing an excellent job. Yeah. Next thing I want to talk about is the calendar for next year. So Dr. Avery and the teacher forum group have been working on options for a calendar on next year. This year is a little different because we are exploring the option of going with what we call a modified balance calendar. Okay, and so a modified balance calendar is similar to a year-round calendar, except it ain't quite all year round. Now, what we're doing is we're going to be sharing two versions of the calendar with our stakeholders, beginning with staff members and then parents and students, and you'll get an opportunity to see it today. And then we're ultimately going to get some feedback before bringing a proposal back to you all. Now, the first question that you may ask is, why are we even considering going away from the traditional calendar to a modified balance calendar? Well, the research indicates that with a modified balance calendar, you mitigate some of the summer loss because the summer season is not as long. You get breaks during the year. You in essence get about 3 1-week breaks. Am I correct there? But I can look at it second. I think you get what they call intersessions. You get in essence 3 2-week break, 2-week break. Okay, that was 1-week break. So that's kind of the biggest difference. You get breaks during the year and with a shorter summer period. But we are committed to it. We just want to evaluate the 2 options that'll be before us. So this is the modified balance calendar. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing you'll see there, the school year starts early. Okay. So in that modified balance calendar, the first day of school is August 1st. Say that one more time, August 1st. Now we historically don't start school to the 3rd Monday in August this season. So that means parents would need to be prepared to go back earlier. Other districts have done this. Obviously, parents weren't that excited the first year they did it because they had a shorter summer. But they felt a whole lot better about it once you got down in October. Okay? Because that's when you got that first, what they call intercession. And you'll see where October 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, you have that whole week off. And that's what they call intercession. You go down to November, that is generally what we call fall break, Thanksgiving break. That's basically the same. Christmas is basically the same. You go back up to January, and that's basically the same. But then you get to February, that's another what we call intercession. When you get basically a full week break during February. March is generally the same. And then you get to April, you get a full week break in April. All right. And then surprisingly, with all of these breaks, you still end up ending school by the 19th. What's the last day of school? Graduation is the 2nd or 3rd. So you still end up having graduation the 2nd or 3rd of June. So you really aren't getting out much later than you were getting out before. But you are starting school much earlier And the summer breaks are a little shorter because you're going back to school a little early. Okay. What questions do you have before we go on to the traditional time?
Dr. Green, Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Green,
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's an excellent idea. That is something I had back in my mind for years, and it cuts down on the loss during the summer. And actually help a lot of the parents out that have to work and don't have daycare, you know, the whole summer. And I just think it's a great idea, you know, and I hope that it's something that the whole board agree with, but to me, it's a great idea. And I have known it to work in other states with them doing that, and kids don't miss so much during the summer, because I know that teachers probably told you that they lose a lot when they come back, because a lot of them don't do anything pretty much during the summer, or they don't have transportation to get to the libraries and different stuff like that. So I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback, Ms. Harrison. You know, I'll tell you one of
Just tell me about the state on that, like, it's,
yeah.
you know, what are we, you know, what's the, I guess, pros and cons of it?
Well, and so obviously one of the pros is what Ms. Harrison just talked about, mitigating the amount of summer loss of the students on hours long. One of the primary cons, Mr. Miller, is childcare. And so since you have intersessions throughout the course of the year, then parents have to really determine how we arrange childcare for a week at a time in the year. Okay. And so looking at October, around October again, Ms. Brown. And so now kids are out of school from October 1st to October 7th. If you have a younger child who is able to take care of him or herself, now you got to arrange for childcare during that week. So one of the primary cons is arranging childcare during those session period. One thing that Dr. Avery and her team is doing is to reach out to the recreation department to talk about some activities that we can plan during those intercessions. One thing that we will talk about is also doing some remediation during those intercession periods, where we can provide some additional support for students who have some academic struggle. But if you do that, obviously you need to compensate teachers and find teachers who will work during those intercessions. But probably one of the primary concerns has been what happened during those intercession periods. Anything you want to add there, Dr. Avery?
Well, of course, I'm sure you all know that, you know, throughout the nation.
Hey, come on, this one, right?
When the calendar committee and I met, one of the things we discussed was the fact that we may have experienced some staff who may have teacher burnout, and we may even have some students who may have some student burnout. And so we felt it was important to consider in the creation of the calendar, our opportunity to incorporate a break. So as Dr. Green stated earlier, the summer is going to be, under this calendar, the summer will be 8 weeks as compared to 10 weeks. And so we'll take those 2 weeks that, and we will incorporate those into those 2 intercession breaks. But we felt this would be a great way to help alleviate the burnout and the tiredness that I've heard from teachers in the past as relates to that long break between January all the way to April, and they don't have a break. So we were able to incorporate a break in February to help alleviate the burnout that teachers could experience. And then also teachers will have an opportunity, instead of taking a vacation during the summer when it's most expensive, they could take a vacation during intercession during an off-peak time. And oftentimes teachers don't have an opportunity during the school year because they all, of course, are teaching during the regular school year on the traditional calendar. They could actually take a vacation during that intercession break. And then in addition to that, with the intercession break, again, it provides an opportunity, if we elected to do so, as Dr. Green mentioned, to provide remediation during that time for students. Instead of waiting until the summer to catch students up, we could easily utilize intercession to catch students up while they're in school. where there are not a lot of distractions. They don't have to worry about, other students seeing that they need additional help because there won't be anyone else in the building but them. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to, present this as an option to our stakeholders.
So to answer your question, Mr. Miller, in terms of what the research said about modified ballot, I can tell you it is, it is kind of mixed, if you will. It is relatively new. I think there have been some people who've seen an uptick in student achievement, but they're in isolation, really, I don't think that. And I think it's a combination of multiple things. In South Carolina, Kershaw County has been doing it for a couple of years. Chesterfield County has made plans to do it next year. Darlington County has made plans. So there are probably multiple counties who are exploring the option of moving forward with a modified balance county. Now, the General Assembly passed legislation a few years back that no school district can start school before the third Monday in August. All right. Obviously, you start before the third Monday in August. All right. You can only do that if you have some kind of modified different kind of calendar. All right. And so we've only had a couple of districts who have moved forward with a modified calendar. Now, I'll tell you, I am skeptical as to how the General Assembly will respond if in mass people begin to adopt a modified balance calendar, where everybody in essence is starting before the third Monday in August. Okay. And so it'll be interesting to see how the General Assembly responds if lots of people move forward with this modified calendar. And just to refresh your memory, the reason there was legislation that prevented us from starting before the third Monday in August is that the argument was made that impacted tax revenues and people going out to the beach and spending money. So, which I never bought that argument. Right. Yeah, I mean, I would listen to that argument. But nevertheless, that was the argument. And the General Assembly made a law because of that. I've always been a proponent that you should give districts local control. And if we want to start school the first Monday in August, leave that up to Fairfield, and if Greenville want to start the third weekend Monday, leave that up to Greenville, and we let every district, survey their own community to make those determinations. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because I think this is something many districts are considering.
So research, one more question. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut across. So we got 10 weeks versus 8 weeks when the kids, our students are out. And I hear a lot of people, I don't know research on it, I hear a lot of people saying that during the summer months, they just don't get it. And so we're saying in that 2 weeks, at least they won't be out as long as they would have. Yes.
And then if I can make one other point, Mr. Miller, with the modified calendar, we will also finish the semester before Christmas, which would be beneficial to high school students. So instead of them worrying about exams over the Christmas break, they will be done with their semester courses before leaving for Christmas break. And then when they return in January, they will start a new semester. So that is one major benefit I see in the modified calendar. And Edgefield recently just passed their modified calendar as well.
Thank you.
Okay, my original question was whether this demonstration will be held at school or virtual. But you answered that, said they will be in the building. Now, is there a funding for teachers? Is that built into the budget for those days that teachers would have to teach?
Yeah, so we probably could use some at-risk money. There's probably some different options. Right now, we probably could use some ESSA money. Long term, we probably would have to identify a more stable long-term funding source. But we can find funding to try and invest. The same way we use funding Pastor Jackson for summer school. In essence, it's the same concept, except you're doing it during the course of the year versus doing it during the summer. Yeah.
Mr. Chair. Dr. Green, if this modified version passed, will we still implement summer school? Will they still have summer programs?
Yes, my thought is that we still would have summer program. The hope is that you wouldn't necessarily need the extent of summer programs that we have right now, because you would have been able to address some of the learning loss in the year.
And the problem is here, because we are a rural community, we have what, one library, main library open during the summer for the kids. I mean, they can use it during school, but you got kids that's out in Ridgeway, Greenbrier, and all these different areas that don't have access to library and probably not a lot of internet either. So it would be good for them, you know, not to have so much loss during the summer.
Yeah, man, I think there are lots of benefits, Ms. Harrison.
Yeah.
You know, the question is, how does the community respond to change? You know, I mean, we've had these kind of traditional calendars for years, and so we'll see how the community, in addition to the staff, responds to change. I think there are lots of arguments as to why this is beneficial. But like I used to say when I was a principal, nobody liked change but a wet baby. And so we'll see how people respond when this is proposed.
What about, transportation? The parents gonna be responsible for getting them here during that period.
During the session?
Yeah.
We're not fleshed that out, Pastor Jackson. I mean, some of that will be contingent on the number of students. I would envision that you know, we would provide transportation to those students who are in need of remediation. But some of that is contingent on how many students we're talking about. Now, you know, we only had 3 students who were interested in participating in remediation. Obviously, we only measure on our bus, but we did. So, but I think we'd be prepared to provide if we could get the numbers of students participating that were wanted. And, you know, we haven't really fleshed all the details out, but, you know, some of the things that we have to talk about is, you know, what about parents who say, well, I don't want my child to have to report doing that. Okay, I want my child to have to break back the rest of the kids down. How much do we really kind of push that issue? Okay. So, you know, there are a few details relative to the intersection that yet to be determined.
I got one more question. Yeah, you brought up a good point. That during the summer months that I know that for Dewey, let me ask a question. Dewey, our libraries, they don't be open during summer.
No, sir. We've had a few instances, generally speaking, though, but for places that have summer school outside of the media center is open, but you still have students there. Geek Elementary School opened their library for a while during the summer months. And I think maybe Record Listening may have done the same one summer. Historically, no, but we made some exceptions and opened it up during a few summers at a few sites.
But you know, the rural schools, you know, they want to really need the big grade down. You know, Kevin Miller is the they don't have it. So I'm just, that's throwing somebody to all, you know, say, can think about that.
Yeah, and you know, and one of the obviously one of the challenges there that somebody you open Record Listening Media Center, the media specialist is going to need to work. I mean, somebody will need to work, and so as teachers look forward to their summer as well, if you say, well, we want to open up the media center all summer, that means somebody got to be working, and so that's obviously a challenge. Now, the buildings are generally open most of the summer, but that doesn't necessarily mean you want to just start letting kids go in media centers without being, properly supervised and guidance and direction. So in theory, it's a good idea to open them up. The issue is somebody has to work on it. So, for example, in Ridgeway, when they opened it up, the media specialist there was right on board with it, and she was happy.
And she actually volunteered.
Yeah.
She actually.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure, but she must live in Ridgeway. Yeah, so but she gladly did. So we appreciate her being willing to do so. But obviously, that's one of the challenges, get someone willing to give their summer stuff.
Oh, Dr. Green,
Mhm.
what about an option of, you got some kids that may be going to student librarians or something, may wanna do an intern? We think about doing some internships,
Yeah, yeah, I
like
think that's,
junior, rising juniors and
Yeah.
seniors in
Yeah.
college.
yeah, I think that's a very good idea. Yeah, very good idea. Dottie, anything else you want to add relative to the council?
Well, one of the reasons why we wanted to share this with you, because as Dr. Green stated, with change, there's going to be a lot of conversation. And so as board members, we wanted to front load you so that when questions are posed to you, you can answer the questions based on the information that we shared with you this evening. But moving forward, we plan to use November and December to get stakeholder feedback on the modified calendar and the traditional calendar. And the plan is to bring before you a proposed calendar in January. So that way, if we elect to move forward with the modified calendar, families will have enough time to plan their vacations or reschedule their vacations and then can plan accordingly for childcare.
You know, thank you, Dr. Avery. Dr. Avery and her team really brought this idea to me. After really researching the pros and the cons of the modified calendar, and so I appreciate them doing so. I can already tell you, one of the biggest concerns with moving forward with a modified calendar is the first year. Okay, because the first year is when you go back, that's when your summer is the sharpest. Okay, so the first year, people, you know, that's kind of that shock when I gotta go back to school. How early? You know, we used to go back third week of August, and now I gotta go back as soon as August starts. So that's probably the biggest question you're gonna get from your constituents is, we consider going to the calendar that's gonna require that I go back to school August 1st, second. Which is gonna shorten out some, but you're gonna make it up on the second year because you're gonna get extra time off during the second year. As I said, in some of these other districts that did it, there was some grumbling when they went back early, and there was some smiles when they got their first break in October. And so you can get that first break. I think people are gonna be okay. All right, thank you. Next thing I'm gonna talk about, I want to give Mr. Brunson and Ms. Graham a shout out. We had Ms. Harrison and Mr. Siebel showed up to Fairfield Central High School for the Avid Day and Fairfield Middle School sponsored. On Fairfield Central High School football field, where we invited South Carolina State Marching 101, Benedict College band. They did an absolutely remarkable job. But the whole purpose of the event was to get our young people excited about higher education. And so as much as we talk about the band and the marching and the playing and the music, that was really just a means to the end, to really push forward a message about the opportunity that exists to pursue higher education. And when I made my remarks, I told kids, man, I had so much fun in college. I don't care if you go to college because you want to have fun. As long as you said it when you get there, you understand? I mean, if you want to go because you want to have fun, go because of that. Just study when you get there.
Yeah, right.
And we just want you to go and do your best when you get there. So I think a lot of kids were excited and impressed with the band, even if they aren't interested in music as a part of their future. It was nonetheless an exciting opportunity to witness an outstanding group. South Carolina State interim president was there. I was very impressed with that. And he kind of sold folks on South Carolina State. He said you can get anywhere from South Carolina State University. You can get anywhere from South Carolina State University. And so I was impressed. Dr. Rosamond Arnold was out of town, as I understand it. The Benedict College president, but she had already indicated she would have been there as well. Okay, and so when you have college presidents that are showing up on our campuses to recruit our students, that is something to be commended. And I'd like to thank Ms. Alicia Graham, who's the Avid site coordinator, and Mr. Brunson, middle school principal, for coming up with this outstanding idea.
Mr. Dr. Green?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it was really exciting. Last month when they did Avid, they had professional athletes. And it was great because I have an opportunity to get them. They do it virtually most of the time. So I have an opportunity to get on, and they had, some outstanding, professional athletes come there, and I was real shocked that they had these people. And so they always do a great job with that, and, I enjoy listening myself. I actually got the recording for my grandson, so he's outstanding athletes.
Yeah, I tell you, Ms. Graham, she has just taken this and run with it. And so it might surprise people that you would identify a chorus teacher to be an avid psych coordinator. But she has done an absolutely phenomenal job as an avid psych coordinator and really coming up with just creative strategies to really get young people excited about pursuing higher education. Let me do the boys cross country team a shout out. They won the region title, I think for the first time in school history. That was, so give them a round of applause. Yeah. The boys cross country team won the region title. In addition, we competed at state meet, which is an honor. And I think you only have maybe 15 or 16 schools that qualify for the state competition. So we qualified for the state meet, in addition to winning the region title. And the future is bright. There's several young kids on that cross country team. Coach Eddie Berto has done an absolutely remarkable job with the cross country. He's done a remarkable job. And I had a parent who spoke to me after the boys region meet and said, "We got to keep Coach Berto. I don't care what y'all got to do. Y'all got to figure out how to keep him." And I said, "We're going to do our best, man." I can assure you of that. So, and I'll tell you, the thing she said is not just in running, that young people have really kind of come out of their shell as a part of being participating on the cross country team. It's like a little family of them. They really lean on one another, support one another. And so we're very excited. The girls finished second in the region. Give them a round of applause. They have done an outstanding job as well. And it's just like a little family of them, cross country kids. And they support each other. And they've never been to a cross country meet when they're running and root each other on and yelling and let's go, Giants run, you can do it. And I mean, just so very supportive. And yeah, and it's just such an uplifting scene to see young people support one another as they do. Varsity football team traveled to Rennes a couple of weeks ago for the first round of the playoff. We'd like to thank Coach Davis and his staff and the varsity football team for having an outstanding year. Even though we fell short against Rennes, it was a good season nonetheless. We had a tough year with injuries this year, and you can never predict how injuries will go from year to year. But we had a tough year with injuries, but I think the future is still bright for football at Fairfield Central High School. The middle school team, as we said earlier, won their region. And so we have some outstanding athletes coming up here next year out of the middle school. So looking forward to some great things there. And then finally, let me talk a little bit about some of the dialogue you heard in the media, particularly from the governor, talking about media center text, and some of the text being, I think the words he used were obscene and pornographic, and depicted some things that he felt were harmful to children. And so, you know, districts are evaluating really what texts are on their shelves. Now, first thing I acknowledge is when media specialists order books, they generally order books in bulk. So I don't want everyone to think that if you have 4,000 books in a media center, that the media specialist has read 4,000 books. I mean, that's just not reasonable. And so what they do is they look at these recommendations, these books that have won awards. You know, they do research. So there could be books that are in the media center that may have some objectionable material. That is possible. With that said, I want us to be very careful in how we respond to challenges to books that are on shelves. All right, because it's not appropriate to remove books just because you personally have some issues with the content. All right. Now, it may be coincidental. I'll assume it's coincidental. That all of the books that have been removed thus far generally address students or authors who have talked about themes around gender, identity, bisexuality, homosexuality, things around sexuality. Okay. And some people may say, since I disagree with any kind of homosexual lifestyle, we should have books that reference homosexuality. Because that's not appropriate. Okay. Books should be able to address, kind of the interests, some of the challenges, some of the things that all young people in our schools are dealing with. And so I'm giving you the backstory to say, if we get a challenge to some of the books that may be on our shelf, and none of the books that the governor referenced are in our circulation. Okay, so they reference about 2 or 3 books. All Boys Aren't Blue is one of them. And, I can't remember the other. Long Boy was one. There was 1/3 book. But we didn't have any of those in our circulation. Right? But in the event that we get some challenges in the future, we'll go through a process to determine how we evaluate what books we may consider removing from circulation. And I shared with Mr. Miller, I said, well, we got to think about the fact someone could come next week and say, I challenge whether the Bible should be in circulation. Okay, because the Bible has, infidelity and murder and, I mean, you can go on and pick out whatever you want to pick out from it. And so I want to challenge that. And so you got to be careful there that just kind of have a knee-jerk reaction because someone said this book shouldn't be in circulation and you just go ahead and remove it. Okay. But we've not had any of those challenges thus far. I think the governor is ordered the State Department of Education to have communication with districts relative to what books are in circulation to ensure that all the books are appropriate. I want to read at least an excerpt from a statement that was sent out by the South Carolina Association of School Librarians. Obviously, they take some exception with trying to restrict access to books based on your own kind of personal or religious values, all right? And so just one excerpt, and I put this in your board doc. South Carolina Association of School Librarians says, in fact, the Supreme Court has affirmed this position through several cases, such as the 1982 Island Tree School District versus Pico case. Justice Brennan wrote for the majority opinion, local school boards may not remove books from school libraries simply because they dislike the ideas contained in those books and seek by their removal to prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, and other matters of opinion. And so I'll just end by saying, just because you don't want your child to read a book, that means nobody's child can read the book. Okay, and so as a parent with one final daughter in high school, I can have some influence over what my daughter reads from the library, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I get to dictate what someone else's child reads. Now, we want to make sure that it's appropriate and nothing obscene, but just because we object to some of the things doesn't mean that we get to make a decision or we shouldn't to remove books from circulation. Are there any questions about that? Okay. Well, number one, we've not had any issues in Fairfield County relative to any kind of book issue, and I appreciate that.
Well, we will if Joe read that book, he said he's gonna read.
And the last thing is our COVID update. Well, we continue to be trending in a very positive direction relative to COVID-19. I really hate to speak on it. Pastor Jackson said, what you say, you kind of jinx us, as they say. I mean, I don't want to jinx. Yeah. So we are really moving in a positive. Okay, all right. So we'll put the issue. And then was Brown prepared, I'll just tell you that our numbers have been trending down. I would hope that our vaccination rates are contributing to that. I think our students are still doing a very good job wearing masks. Okay, here we go. Just remember, isolation represents a student that has tested positive for COVID-19. Quarantine represents a student that has been identified as being a close contact of a positive COVID-19. Okay. So the COVID-19 vaccine has been approved for students aged 5 to 11. I'm in conversation with Dr. Switter right now about trying to establish a vaccination clinic in the district so we can try and increase the number of young people who are vaccinated. I think the more people we get vaccinated, the better. As we continue to get folks vaccinated, we'll continue to see our numbers go down. As you know, I serve on a couple of, I serve on the University Hospital Board. And one of the things we discussed in our most recent board meeting was they are anticipating a potential spike in January. As folks come back from Christmas holidays. And so we want to continue to stay vigilant to prepare for a potential spike and encourage our parents. I mean, folks, I've not been on the fence about vaccinations. I mean, I have been strongly encouraging our families to get vaccinated. All right, if you choose not to, I respect that. But the research indicates that it is a good idea to do so. So we'll continue to encourage that. And we'll host a vaccination clinic here in the near future. Folks, that's a nice graph right there. As you see that graph shows that our numbers have been steadily declining in all of our facilities. And the week of November 8th through the 12th, we had no positive cases, no positive student cases, and 10 quarantines. So we had 10 students who were close contacts or positive. That doesn't mean they were close contact or positive on our campus or close contact or positive on students. It could be a close contact on someone in their household. Right. So we had 10 students who were quarantined, but no positive student cases the week of November 8th through 12th. So we are headed in the right direction. Those 5 quarantines were 5 at Fairfield Central High School and 5 at the end. Staff cases have been even that. There have been 0 isolations for the week of November 8th through 12th, and 0 quarantine for staff. And you know, I've not necessarily been able to confirm the percentage of our staff that are vaccinated. Ms. Brown sent out a survey several weeks back, and the numbers that came in were over 85%, if I'm not mistaken. Ms. Brown was about 85% of that ballpark. Obviously, you know, everyone did respond to the survey, so you aren't sure exactly what those numbers really represent. But I think our number of staff members that are vaccinated is very, very high. I don't really know for sure if you administer a survey, you mandate that people respond. Now, when we send surveys out, it's voluntary. So if we got 595 staff members, you may have 350 people respond. And you don't know if that 350 is a representative sample or not. But I'll tell you, based on the surveys that have gone out, overwhelming majority of our staff are vaccinated, and I think that's contributed to why those numbers have been so great. Any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
That's wonderful news. I was at Giga the other day, and I tell you what, those kids are wearing a mask, and if they didn't have one when they got out, the parent would ask them to give them a mask. So, for the most part, I think majority of the people are still wearing a mask, you know, and that's a good thing. So hopefully it can seem to be like that, and hopefully in January, we won't see a spike of cases here, you know.
Yeah, Ms. Harrison, just to piggyback on what you said, our students, particularly young folks, are doing an excellent job.
Yeah.
And so for all the people who say our young people won't wear masks, I don't know where you got your information from. They will, and they do. And you know, we look forward to the day that we don't have to worry about masks. I don't know if we quite there yet, but until we get there, we appreciate our young people doing it, even in the absence of a mandate. Okay, and so people say, well, do you have a mask mandate? Well, we don't have a mask mandate, but our community is doing a very good job of adhering to our recommendations. So numbers looking good. Let's continue to say a quick prayer that we continue to head in that direction. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Okay. Right now, we're gonna go on curriculum and instruction.
For your approval this evening, you have 3 field trips, overnight and out-of-state field trips for Fairfield Central High School, girls basketball team, the Elite Ladies overnight field trip request, along with Fairfield Middle School. They're requesting attendance to travel to the Beta Club Convention in Myrtle Beach. The superintendent recommendation reads, the superintendent recommends the board approve the out-of-state overnight field trip request for Fairfield Central High School, the Elite Ladies, and Fairfield Middle School.
Can we get a motion on that? And can we put all 3 of them together?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the out-of-state overnight field trip request for Fairfield Central, Elite Ladies, and Fairfield Middle School.
I'll second. Motion made by Ms. Harris, second by Ms. Davis, to approve all 3 trips. You got any questions? All in favor, show by raising the right hand. Seven. Thank you, Dr. Avery. We don't know what we're gonna do with this series. Operation and finance, please.
Good evening to the board, Dr. Green. In the board packets this evening, you have the finance report for the month of October. There's nothing really unusual. It's about what we would expect for this time of year in terms of revenues and expenditures. The report is there for your review. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you as well. Human resources. So.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This evening, under Human Resources, item 1, the superintendent recommends the board approve certified resignations and terminations for the 2021 academic year. This is presented in Exhibit 1.
We do a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a recommendation, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve certified resignation terminations for the 2021-22 academic year in Exhibit 1.
Second. Motion made by Ms. Harris, second by Ms. Davis. All in favor, so by raising the right hand. 7.
Under Human Resources, item 2, the superintendent recommends the board approve certified professional educators for the 2021-22 academic year. This is presented in Exhibit 2.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to accept the superintendent recommendation to approve certified professional educators for the 2021-22 academic year. And that's in Exhibit 2.
Second to the motion.
Motion made by Ms. Harris, second by Dr. Harris. For the recommendation. All in favor, show by raising the right hand. That would be 7.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Earl. Come down now, the board chair. Before I guess, there are a few things that I'd like to say. First of all, I thank this board for allowing me to be the chair another year. And I will be talking to all board members. And you will have a chance sometime to do our board retreat. Other things I'd like to thank Pastor Jackson, serving as vice chair for many years. I don't know how many that years, but I thank Ms. Harris for coming to be our vice chair. Same thing with Mr. Seaver's being our secretary. I think they're both do a great job. Things I wanted to say that, just to recognize that we did have one of our board members had deck and some things that caught on fire at his house. To recognize Mr. Davis, and I'm glad to see him. And I sometimes don't worry about that materialistic stuff instead. As long as your kids and your family is okay, that's the important thing. And the number one killer in a fire, you know what it is? Smoking. That's what killed. That black smoke will kill you. So thank God, glad you are safe and your family are safe, and we appreciate you for that. Those things that let me say, any other board members, we don't get to the resolution later, but I want to, any board members have anything they want like to say. I know it's more terrible, but I don't think it's because we do it, so Sarah, you got something?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank y'all for electing me as vice chair. And also, December the 19th at the middle school, from 1 to 4, feeding Fairfield will be back to feeding as many people as possible. In the past, it was very successful. We didn't do it last year because of COVID, but it will be done a little different this year. We're not gonna allow anybody to go into the gym at the middle school. We're gonna hand the plates outside the door. So we got a lot of good feedback on it, and a lot of volunteers and all the donations coming in. So if any of y'all are in town, I know a lot of people will be out for the break, but if y'all in town, please come by and support. I know Mr. Siebel have been there in the past in his church. So anybody else would like to volunteer, please do so.
Thank you. Reverend Jackson.
Yeah, I'd just like to say to the board that I appreciate the opportunity that you served as vice chair for, well, ever since I've been on the board. And I am going to be this Harrison Corner governor if she needs it in that position. I just want to let you know that I appreciate everything and I'm still here to be.
Thank you. Ms. Davis.
Chairman Miller, I just want to say thank you and the board for acknowledging the fact that me and my family are going through a little track right now, but sometimes it's really good to bad. Everybody's blessed, still living, like I said, lost a few things, but it could have been a whole lot worse. Like Dr. Green, he was I think he might have beat me to the house, but he was there the whole time, I appreciate your support. And I definitely need to send a shout out to Mrs. Johnson Wellington, one of the Fairfield elementary school teachers up there. She teaches first grade. She seems she has a small baby, not thinking, mom just ran down, grabbed the hose pipe, fought the fire as long as she could until the firefighters got there, even after the fact. She stayed to help clean up some of the debris and everything like that. So I definitely would like to thank her for what she did for me and my family. We really appreciated our community, church. They were very supportive of that. And thanks everyone for the support. Jim Miller, like Dr. Green, recently I see outreach was bad. During the time I was selected as the Midway facility coordinator and promoted the supervisor, which we met with Dr. Green, and he can inform the board some of the things that Isola would like to partner with the school district, about what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Davis, but, Mr. Davis arranged a meeting with his HR director from Isola. And she really wanted to come and talk about some of the opportunities in manufacturing. And, you know, she wanted to reiterate the fact that many of our kids have not really given manufacturing a strong look. But there are lots of opportunities at Isola to not only have a job, but a career where you can take care of family. And so we're in the process of really discussing how we can continue to expose our young people to some of the opportunities at Isola. And I told her that we are more than willing and happy to partner in any way that we can. Be it through internships and training program, having students to tour the facility, to really look at all the opportunities that exist at that particular facility. And so that's indicative of the kind of relationships that we have established with our local businesses that provides an opportunity for our young people to walk across that stage and potentially transition into a job where they can earn a livable wage. I tell you, not just get a job, but a job where you can take care of you and yourself and your family. In addition, she has invited the honors course to come down during a Thanksgiving Day celebration to really perform for her team. I think it's a breakfast and maybe a dinner as well, Mr. Davis shared with me. And you know, I don't miss many meals, so I'll be there as well. Good food. I need to be there also. So we look forward to a wonderful partnership with Isola as they support opportunities for our young people. So thank you, Ms. Davis, for setting that up, and we look forward to seeing you on the 8th of December. 8th of December will be on the 8th of December.
Chairman, I would like to give the board and the previous boards kudos for the things that we have done and previous boards have done within the district, because she was very impressed with the school system and the things that we have accomplished over the years. So she's really excited about with the district. Thank you.
I just want to say, we have the alumni parade. I was just looking at it, which y'all.
No parade.
The name
It's tailgate.
Tailgate, I mean, you're absolutely right. Tailgate from 12 to on that Saturday.
Yeah, it's.
I don't want to be out of town, but
I don't
all
think
that
it
can, all that can go past and at the park. And I think Ridgeway's having a parade on.
Actually, I just found out that the Williamsburg's having one, but I think a lot of people be out of town because it's the Sunday after Thanksgiving.
Okay, so that's.
28th, Ridgeway is December the 5th, and that's the Sunday.
We get back.
Yeah, we get
Okay.
back.
Also, so that Sunday before is what that day is. I want to make sure everybody knows that about the Winsburg parade that Sunday. You know, I don't know. Parents told me about it. I hadn't received it. Was Brown, did you receive anything?
I forwarded it to.
The Ridgeway one, we didn't see anything about the
Winsboro.
Winsboro. Yeah, we didn't get anything about the Williamsburg, which a lot of people want to be around anyway. And also, Mr. Chair, Dr. Green, if I can mention, a lot of the teachers and staff said they are not getting the link to look at the board meetings. They used to get them in the past, and they have been missing the meetings, and they actually want to be engaged with the meetings. I don't know, you know, what's the breakdown on it. So if you can make sure they get the link for the board meeting.
All right, we'll make sure they go back.
Thank you.
Next week, anybody else? Resolution.
Yeah, so in your board docs, you have the resolution relative to the district board of trustees position on the school board association, withdrawing membership from the National School Board Association. I had asked Ms. Brown just to read that, just so the public will hear exactly what the resolution is. Obviously, you've read it, but for those in the listening audience, I want them to understand what the resolution is as well. So it is an action item, so it will require a motion to second that.
Resolution of the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees, position on the South Carolina School Boards Association, withdrawing membership from the National School Boards Association. Whereas the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees, in their regular call board meeting on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021, addressed the South Carolina School Boards Association decision to withdraw membership from the National School Board Association. And whereas the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees, in establishing relationships with other education agencies and in line with board policy LA, education agency relations goals, priority objectives, that the board will continue to strive and cooperate with and be vitally interested in gaining insight from other school districts and related organizations. This cooperation extends to the local boards of education, the South Carolina School Boards Association, the South Carolina Department of Education, and the National School Boards Association. And whereas the National School Boards Association develops and offers unparalleled programs and services to enable its members to be their most impactful. From executive development to resource provider, the NSBA creates opportunities to connect, share, and learn from peers and from the best thinkers, strategists, and managers. And whereas the National School Boards Association councils offer unique opportunities for school board members and school leaders to get involved, strengthen their advocacy skills, and be part of a dynamic collaboration. And whereas the National School Boards Association advocates for equity and excellence in public education through school board leadership. And whereas the National School Boards Association leads the national conversation about public education, advocates for public policies that ensure each student everywhere has access to an excellent public education where they live, create a better understanding of the importance of school boards and the benefits of local governance, and enhance the effectiveness of school boards. And whereas the National School Boards Association strengthens, convenes, and provides state school board associations with opportunities to learn about and formalize their collective will on national issues of public policy affecting the nation's public schools. And whereas the National School Boards Association provides training and professional development for the school boards and staff leadership teams that are members of their member state school boards associations. And whereas the National School Boards Association coordinates, facilitates, and implements a united national movement in pursuit of equity and excellence in public education through school board leadership. The association focuses its efforts on advocating for and defending high quality public education and school board governance before the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. And whereas the National School Boards Association helps with policy writing, legal matters, insurance, superintendent searches, and other issues. They also track state legislation and advocates for school boards, local governance, and public schools to state legislatures. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees does not agree with the South Carolina School Boards Association decision to withdraw membership from the National School Boards Association. Adopted date by the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees, signed by the board chair.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
You're welcome.
Good job. That's So, that's good. So, can we get a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion we accept FCSDA withdrawal membership from the National School Board Association.
That's it.
Motion. Is that?
Pass the rate.
Oh, the pass, I'm sorry. The board vote to pass it. I make a nomination, we vote to pass a resolution to submit this, SC, South Carolina School Board Association regarding their decision to withdraw membership from the National School Board Association. The board does not support this, decision.
Exactly.
That's it.
You second on that? Yes, what question?
What exactly does this resolution do? In light of the fact that the SBA, the other South Carolina board, that already decided to withdraw.
Yeah, so Pastor Jackson, the resolution only formalizes your opposition to the decision. And so you can obviously share that information with the South Carolina School Board Association or anyone else for that matter. It does not have any actual force of law. Compelled them to do anything different, except it does formalize and state your position relative to what the actions are.
And that's still out,
But
but it's still out.
yes.
And things can change though. I want to say this right here, without throwing anybody in the bus. I have talked to people, folks down there at the work stand, and they need National School Board Association. I mean, they are crying, and they want somebody to stand up because they're gonna need, they won't be able to do their jobs in the right way. You know, we need the National School Board Association, and I'm telling you that it's a lot of work there. I've got phone calls and talked to personally. And so that's something that hopefully that we can talk about when we get down there in December. Ms. Harris is our delegate, and you know, so I'm gonna leave that there.
Yeah, well, when I got the word for it hit the news, and I called Mr. Miller. I was like, this is going to be a mess. But even the Black Caucus has taken a stand. We actually sent a letter out to, and I think a lot of the school boards are sending letters. I mean, it may not change them right now, but they need to know where we stand on this. They need to understand how important it is to us. Because if we decide to pull out on them, they ain't gonna have nobody. You know, so we need the national, and just like Mr. Miller said, those people understand the importance of being part of the national.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Since they're withdrawing, what is that, with the February?
You know, it's just something they crossed it.
Is it the January?
Last guess. It's pretty much, when I was reading, from Scott Price, the letter we got today.
Yeah, you get that?
Council.
So you talking CD, Pastor Jackson? You talking CD?
No, well,
That's on
the national.
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah, it's pretty much council.
Yeah. They say, the letter, the email we got today, is that all national conferences are canceled, we are out of it.
So, you know.
So they said, don't make.
I mean, you got the big old federal government. We got all kind of resources. Now, as someone told me, how do they say it, doctor, that's like South Carolina?
That's right.
That was someone say,
One person.
it's the most great. Let's go.
Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
no, it was something totally different, but, as I don't know if y'all know yet, but Mike Fanning, Senator Fanning will be there, in the December meeting. I went to Star Price and asked him to let him come because they always showing his clips of how he's fighting for us, but they never invited him. So I was like, invite him down, and they did, and he will be with us. So, you know, he'll stand with us, he'll stand with the boys. So he'll be there in December.
Mr. Miller, before we vote, and just for the listening audience, I'm sure you all have read the actual letter from School Boards Association that went to the Biden administration, and there was a suggestion that the letter called parents domestic terrorists. So there were multiple issues that people had with the letter, but probably the most recurring theme was that they referred to parents as domestic terrorists. Now, the School Boards Association, National School Board Association, sent out an apology just for some of the wording and indicated that it was inartfully stated. But I want to just read a little excerpt so you can be clear about exactly what the letter said in reference to domestic terrorism. And just clarify whether the letter actually said that they were domestic terrorists. And so I won't read the whole letter. I'll read a few parts, but said while local and state law enforcement agencies are working with public school officials in several communities to prevent further disruptions to educational services and school district operation, law enforcement officials in some jurisdictions need assistance, including help with monitoring the threat levels. As these threats and acts of violence have become more prevalent during public school board meetings via documented threats transmitted through U.S. Postal Service, through social media and other online platforms, and around personal properties, NSBA respectfully asks that a joint collaboration among federal law enforcement agencies, state and local law enforcement, and with public school officials be undertaken to focus on these threats. NSBA specifically solicits the expertise and resources of the U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Secret Service, and its National Threat Assessment Centers regarding the level of risk to public school children, educators, board members, and facilities on campuses. We also request the assistance of the U.S. Postal Inspection Service to intervene against threatening letters and cyberbullying attacks that have been transmitted to students, school board members, district administrators, and other educators. As these acts of malice, violence, and threats against public school officials have increased, the classification of these heinous actions could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and hate crime. So I thought it was important just so you and the public would hear, even though the National School Board Association did send out an apology letter, really suggested that some of that language could have been stated a little better. The suggestion that the letter called parents domestic terrorists is just not accurate. Okay, and so you can hear for yourself exactly what it says. And I read it again: as these acts of malice, violence, and threats against public school officials have increased, the classification of these heinous actions could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and hate crime. And I don't think anyone is suggesting that there have not been acts of threats and violence towards school board members. That has occurred, that has been documented in the media, and that's what this letter was responding to, some of those actions. Now, thankfully, we have not been the victim of any of those such acts or threats in Fairfield County, but the School Board Association was making reference to areas that have been the victim of such threats. But I feel it was important for the listening audience just to get clarity as to exactly what the letter said in reference to domestic terrorism.
I noticed on the letter that you read that it's signed at the bottom. But this letter stating that they're sorry for all that took place, they got no signatures on the door.
So the The letter you talking, that might be a memo that went out, Council Jackson, so you're talking the National School Board Association
Yeah.
memo, okay. So the memo, as you see, the memo came from the National School Board Association Board of Directors. And so unlike the letter that went out, that came from two individuals, I think, this was a memo that came from the National School Board Association Board of Directors. And so in lieu of all of the Board of Directors signing it, obviously, it was stated in the memo that it is from us all. Similar to the Board of Trustees, some memo I said, this is from Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees, it would necessarily require that every single board member sign.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm thankful that we are not under any kind of attack, but I do know some board members that are being attacked.
Surrounding the county.
I call Mr. Miller every time it happens, because I be up at night talking to them and encouraging them, because they're ready to give up because they are being attacked. Yes,
Glad they all Fairfield. They being
but I'm
attacked.
thankful here that we're not.
You know, and I think the School Board Association and school boards across the country welcome spirited debates about policies and practices and how schools operate. It simply crosses the line when it becomes threatening.
Right.
You follow me? It crosses the line when people, I was watching a news report on ABC News where a school board member said someone put a dead rat on her doorstep. And things of that nature, calling people to put things on social media,
We know what you're saying.
in folks' houses. Some of those things I think cross the line. So no one is suggesting that you don't want parental input, community input. Absolutely, we want input, whether that's positive or negative, whether we like what we do or don't like what we do. We welcome that, but it didn't have to devolve into maybe threatening remarks or action. And I think that's what the School Boards Association was referencing. They could have stated their points a little more artfully, which their board of directors acknowledged. But I just wanted to read that statement relative to domestic terrorism, because that has been kind of a statement that I've heard many times, is that School Board Association, National School Board Association said parents are domestic terrorists. So I wanted to be clear. If you hear for yourself exactly what the statement said.
Any more? Questions on that? Motion made by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Davis, all in favor. Somebody raise your right hand. That would be 7, unanimous. I just like to say that I will be talking to Mr. Price and others, and we feel that I'm gonna put a letter to Dr. Green and put a letter together. I will send it out to the board before I send it, and make sure that it's sent it all of our voices. Okay. Resolution has that's saying a lot. So sometimes you got to stand by yourself, you got to stand for what's right. So, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Jackson. All in favor, show by raising the right hand.
Green got to go for his birthday dinner. Don't talk to Joe, keep it moving. There's nobody waiting on you. Ain't that right, James? James said he going home, but he tired. I know the feeling that, oh God, yesterday I was yawning all the way to the road, yawning, surprisingly.
It's the sweetness at the beginning. Get the spawn of the.
Okay, then I'm gonna take it. Okay, one is that.
Yeah.
Dr. Green, you see Riverview still in the playoff? Yeah. They've been doing their, at first it was a little rocky, you know, they got the new coach, you know,